This is Tailgate Talk, presented by Tarpon Blue.
Let's take a ride. In this series, we're going to show you everything Texas and its surrounding southern states has to offer, right here from our very own tailgate.
We'll take you from life on the farm and the ranch to the big city lights. This is Tailgate Talk. Come along for the ride.
Hi there, and welcome to Tailgate Talk. I'm Jesse Rydell, and this is Robin Baker. Robin is a complex appraiser at the Guadalupe County Appraisal District, and she happens to be a realtor here also at Tarpon Blue Real Estate. How are you, Robin?
I'm wonderful today. Nice, finally getting some rain outside, so thank goodness for spring.
Yes, ma'am. So you want to tell us a little bit of how you got into real estate and appraising?
Certainly. So I've had my real estate license since the early 90s, did farm and ranch, so it's kind of, my second love. And then going into the appraisal district, just learning about how to appraise properties and work on values.
Awesome. So which do you like better?
Oh, it's a trade-off. You work really, really hard 7 days a week as a realtor, and it's, basically 8 to 5 on the appraisal district side. But we're getting ready to go into our busy years, with the protest season. So, yeah, we'll be working 6 days a week then.
Awesome. Well, speaking of protests, we have a lot of new home buyers and especially not a lot of people moving to the area. Any recommendations for them on what they need to do when they become a homeowner?
So whenever you close on your property, you get your closing documents. The one thing you probably want to make sure is that when you sign and you have an address on there, of course, that's the address that we're going to send all of your tax documents to, or your property value documents. So make sure if that's not where you want your mail to go, you do come by the appraisal district and change that address. Once you're in your home, you will want to apply for your homestead exemption, and it helps you quite a bit on the value for school taxes.
Okay. And what if there's some other special use valuations such as agriculture or anything else if they need to be in a
Right. So if you're buying rural land, if you buy before the first of the year, you're going to want to put in a 1D1 application. And the 1D1 is for open space, and that gives you an agricultural special use on that property.
Okay.
The deadline for that is April 30th of the following year.
Okay. And what was that deadline for that homestead?
Homestead we take all year long,
Okay.
but they try and cut it off at April 1st or April 15th. But we do try and now we can prorate those in.
Okay. Awesome. So Robin, speaking of exemptions, can you explain to over 65? I know there's a lot of confusion on how that works.
Yes, there really is. So I'm one of them. So when you turn 65, this is what happens. We look at your valuation when you turn 65, and let's just say that valuation is $200,000, and the property taxes based on that $200,000 is, let's just say for grins, is $2,500. And then when you turn 66, let's just say that value has increased to $250,000. We are going to look at the lower value of those 2 years that you turn 65 and 66. And so it's going to be the $200,000 with the tax burden of $2,500. You are going to freeze at that $2,500 on you're going to freeze 100% on the school taxes.
Okay.
And then we're blessed in Guadalupe County that our county taxes and our lateral roads have not gone up considerably. So we're going to freeze at that dollar amount. Your market value will continue to fluctuate. It can go up, but the dollars coming out of your wallet or your bank account should not change.
Okay. So it's based on that same value that you
Yes, when you turn 65, so that way, you can budget for what your taxes are going to be for that year, and you're not going to be getting the increases.
Okay.
And also on that homestead, your homestead can only go up 10% per year on the value from the previous year.
Okay.
So that also helps protect our homeowners from this, crazy market that
Huge
we've
jump.
been in. Yes.
Okay. On the over 65, what if they put a new improvement in? So they build a shop or put in a pool. How does that affect their over 65 exemption?
So you will have that 200,000. We're going to use that scenario, and they put in a pool of, let's just say 35,000. They will refreeze with that new improvement added.
Okay. So yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Get in there and get it all done before you turn 65.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, then you know what you're looking at for the future.
Awesome. Well, that explains it a lot better for everyone.
Yeah. It's just we in Texas, the Texas legislator have really considered what what our over 65 population is looking at, to keep them in their homes. And so by freezing their property taxes, or we call it capping their over 65, then we can, we know what we're going to not have that huge increase, especially in this marketplace.
Right. Very much needed. So Robin, we have a lot of people that's going to be applying for their ag evaluation. Can you give us some of the details and info on what they need, what the requirements are, and so forth?
Certainly. So, first of all, it's a misconception that 10 acres is a minimum for agriculture. In the state of Texas, there is no minimum number of acres. However, there is a stocking ratio and a what we call a productivity or intensity standard. So at this time, we're looking at 5 head of cows if you're going that route, or if you're going hay production, 2 tons per acre on hay production.
Okay.
We do have other goats and sheep that we can also look at for that special appraisal. Just kind of keep in mind that we're looking at about 5,000 pounds of animal units. And so basically when you're looking at 5 head of cows, that's about 5 mama cows.
Right. Okay. And when I see, on your notice, there's always the land type. Can you kind of go through who sets those rates on the leases and how that gets established so you know what you're getting taxed on as appraised value?
Are you talking about productivity?
Pretty much. And the price per acre is a native pasture fair or average.
So we do have several categories. We have tillable, improved pasture land, native pasture land, pecan orchards or orchards. And so when we're looking at those, all of the valuations on any kind of agricultural land is based on the productivity of that land. So when you have, let's just say, a dry cropland field, we do that only on cash lease basis.
Sure.
And so what we do is we take all of the cash leases that we can get our hands on as far as when a person is leasing their property for hay production, crops, hunting, and also just grazing.
Sure.
And then we take that and we have a lease figure for each of those categories. Then we add, when we have that income base, then we take out expenses and liability insurance to get us a net land. And it's almost like an income base.
Right.
Like
that's what they're basically doing. I mean,
it's just like you would. Yes, it's just like you would any commercial income producing property, because in reality, that's what we're trying to do. Because agriculture is based on you're trying. It's not just something of a hobby farm, because hobby farms just don't qualify.
Right, right. So there's some other options too. There's wildlife, where you have to put in a wildlife plan. What are some of the others other that y'all see there in the office?
In wildlife management, there is minimum acres. It's 16.7 acres for wildlife management. And what you're doing on wildlife management is you're going to set a 5-year plan in motion. The first year you're going to apply. Then every year after that, you're going to put in an annual report on what you've done the prior year.
Right.
So let's just say your target species is white-tailed deer or turkeys. So you are going to manage for those, and then you are going to say, this is what I've done, census counts, supplemental water, supplemental food, that kind of thing will be in your plan.
Yes, ma'am.
And then once you get into, and that's under the wildlife management, you have hay production, you can also have bees. Bees does have a minimum and maximum. It's 5 acres is the minimum number of acres to have beehives, and the maximum is 20 acres.
Okay.
Again, the bees have to be on there year round. It has to, you cannot get into one of these contracts where they set the bees there for, let's just say, 6 to 8 weeks, and then they go down the road to like Florida for the orange blossoms and that kind of stuff. So they do have to stay on the property for the bulk of the year.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we've also seen, moving on, we've seen a lot of value change in our area. How do you see that that's going to affect our coming values, and what are you seeing right now? I know you are working on 22, but what's your thoughts?
Okay. So in the state of Texas, value is based on market value, and market value is what things are selling for during this the previous year. So right now we're in April of 2023. So all our values are from January of 2022 to January to 2023. And so we look at all of the sales we can get our hands on, and we get those from cash lease surveys, when people purchase their property. We get it from appraisals, that kind of stuff, and we get that directly from property owners. And so once we get that value, then those values we actually put on the property. If we see a sale that comes in, and let's just say it's a 2,000 square foot house and it's selling for $200 an acre, $200 a square foot, then that's what we have to. When we capture that information, that's what we use for the valuations throughout the county. Of course, we have different neighborhoods that Seguin does not demand the same type of dollars as you would in the Schertz, Selma market, but we do look at that as far as neighborhoods at that point.
Right. Okay. So in our area, we're all aware of what the lakes are kind of doing. They're reducing the levels in them. How do y'all see that's going to affect the values, and has it affected the values in the past?
It has. When Dunlap lost their dam, we had some market data stating that there was going to be a significant decrease in the values on Dunlap. However, we did not find that was the case. We used the sales that we got even with the dewatering of that lake, and so those are the values that we use for across that lake area.
Okay.
We do segregate all of the lakes because there are different waters and different values. And then also we're going to have, or we just started the dewatering of Lake McQueenie. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're now in April, so we look at values the first of the year on January 1st. So unfortunately, we're going to have to look at that value as what it was January 1st. Now, January 2024 will probably be a different story, because we will look at the sales that have happened since January 1st of 23 at that time and see if there is a decrease in valuation.
Sure. So you can kind of recheck everything again.
Right.
Okay. So we've touched on a little bit of everything today. If you'd like to protest your value, you want to give us a little info on the steps of that?
Right. Okay. So notice of appraised values are due to go out April 15th.
Okay.
And you will get those in the mail, and it'll show on there what your appraised value is for 2023. If you don't feel that that's the value that you believe your house is, then you have until May 15th to protest that value. Once you get your notice of appraised value, there will be a protest form in that packet. And so you can send in that protest, and then we will schedule you for an informal. And then if the value is not resolved at that point, then you have the ability to go to the ARB and have an appointment with them.
Okay. That's some great information. And these folks over at the Appraisal District are great to work with. They're nice and helpful, and they want to be there to help. Well, I sure appreciate your time today, and I'm glad you got to visit with us some, and we'll see you next time on Tailgate Talk.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in today, and thank you to our guests for sharing their story.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time on Tailgate Talk.
We'll tell you things you might not know. Just stay a while, we'll make you feel